Welcome to Grown Men Chopping It Up with J.R. Ryder and Kerry with the K. This is a grown-up place for grown-up talk. Put the kids to bed and crank up the volume. And let's get to it.
Alright, this is Grown Man Chopping It Up. Today's podcast is brought to you by Butter Her Bread.
Oh Lord.
Making a girl's vagina soaking wet. Max buttered this lady's bread, and also he buttered her bread. Yeah.
I was redundant, but buttering bread.
Buttering bread. So, I'm Kerry with a K, as you know, and I'm here with
Millz. We're going to try out J Source.
And we're trying out J Source.
Yeah, we're crunching for a name here.
He could be a sorcerer, we don't know.
Right. He's got spells in his spell book. Metaphysics and shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So today's first topic, I'm going to read an article and we're going to discuss the article. The article suggests black women are more sexually objectified than white women. Now, research provides evidence that black women are sexually objectified by white people to a greater degree than white women. The study was published in Psychology of Women Quarterly. The research sought to investigate the Jezebel Stereotype, which is the belief that black women are innately promiscuous and hypersexual. Wow, what kind of bullshit is that? As a field, we're continuing to establish evidence about how constitutes attributions and humaneness, said study author Joel Anderson of the Australian Catholic University. For example, there are constantly improvements in the complexities of human-machine interactions. Consider how life robots can be these days. However, it's equally important to understand why we sometimes deny these attributions to other groups of humans. And in particular, is it important to understand the mechanisms driving these processes and risk factors that make certain social groups more vulnerable to being objectified or dehumanized. Researchers conducted an eye-tracking experiment with 38 white college students, which found that participants attended more often and for longer durations to the sexual body parts of black women compared to white women. This was especially true when women were wearing bikinis rather than normal clothing. In two experiments, which included another 251 white participants, the researchers used a go-no-go association task to assess automatic associations between race and certain concepts. These associations with human attributes did not significantly differ between white and black women, but black women were more strongly associated with both animals and objects. All the participants were from the United States. The Jezebel Stereotype is still alive and kicking, although blatant instances of dehumanization and objectification of black people have attenuated over time. Subtle and dehumanizing perceptions still exist, Anderson told them. We measured these intergroup processes using eye-tracking software and implicit measures, and we found considerable evidence that black women are both objectified and dehumanized to greater extent than white women. Specifically, relative to white women, black women were more frequent targets of objectifying gaze. Whole nother thing. Participants fixated more often on their hips, waist, and chest, and were implicitly non-consciously associated with words about animals and machines, relative words about humanity. Like in all research, the study includes some limitations. This is the first step in this important line of research. We use categorically targeted race groups, which means visually identifiable as black or white. This overlooks the complexities of the issue. For example, some black people are less stereotypically black in their visual appearance, and this might impact how they are perceived by others. Identifying as biracial might be either a protective or risk factor for objectifying and dehumanizing processes. In addition, it is more important to understand if minority groups apply this process toward their own group. Little is known about the prevalence and impact of self-dehumanization for vulnerable social groups. Now, this sounds like a lot of psychological jargon.
I'll say.
But the meaning of the article is suggesting that black women are more sexualized and objectified than white women are. What are your thoughts on that?
Who wants to go first on this?
Well, when it comes to black women being a little more sexualized, who could blame them?
Okay. Go on.
Black women are hot.
Ding, 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 ding.
That's being funny. But before we go a little ahead of ourselves into it, we want the sisters out there to know that before the whole dehumanization and the sexual objectification talk about black women, black women were viewed in a totally different light in ancient times. So much so, the Greeks named the Andromeda constellation after a black princess.
Okay.
Let you sisters know that right now.
Okay. So, you're drawing the parallels in ancient times. I guess I'll go a little bit more recent. I think that there's a couple of things that you can look at. I guess you would call them usual suspects and then maybe some non-usual suspects. So I would say for usual suspects, you can look at media, right? Where you look at rap, TV, movies, things of that nature. Things that white people are exposed to on a regular basis that gives them some kinds of perceptions about us, whether it be our women and our men. And one of the common themes that you see, in multiple forms of media is this sense that, our women are to be used for financial gain. So you see this, glorification of the pimp culture. You see us essentially devaluing our women. We're treating them as sexual objects ourselves. And so essentially, our media gives everyone else the green light to devalue our women. That's what I would say from a, 10,000 foot view. If I was to say one thing that could pinpoint it, I would say look no further than media. Maybe you guys think something differently. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, all you'd have to look at is the media to start with, because even on sites like Instagram, Facebook, I notice a lot on when they take pictures, for instance, when and I'm sure there's other races that take pictures like this, but we're talking about black women right now. The black women take pictures with their butt pointed toward the camera. I haven't seen very many pictures that don't show this.
All right.
Always got your butt towards the camera, so we want to see if it's growing. We want to know what you got in your back pocket. What's going on?
What is the purpose of this? Why is your butt in the camera?
We want to see your face.
Right. Well, then again, other races of women aren't as blessed to be able to take such pictures.
Right. If a white woman took a picture like that, why are you showing your back? I can see what's in your back pocket.
We see your thigh slits. Ass crack right to the backbone.
We want to know if they really have tails.
I promise me not gonna bash everybody else. We just gonna uplift our sisters today.
Right.
This is for the ladies.
B-A-B-Y. Oh, anyway.
Okay. But yes, so media is what I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But, when it comes to maybe some unusual suspects, when you look at the impact of that same media, particularly now, you see our girls are actually buying into that whole culture.
A lot,
right?
Yeah.
That whole culture, right?
That's what we calling it.
Exactly, the whole culture, right? We've glorified the pimp culture, so if you glorify the pimp from the male's perspective, the women must also be, in some ways, empowered by being a hoe, because she sees that as a means to, uplift herself within society, right?
Yeah, the movie Players Club had a lot to do with that, too.
Right.
When she said, make the money, don't let it make you use what you got to get what you want.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Malarkey. Yeah. We won't talk about what you haven't seen.
Yes, I'm the resident who has not seen anything other than, television.
Send all black movies to me.
Yes, thank you for giving out my government name. So I guess,
Millz Miller.
Well, he actually didn't. You did.
Judge Millz Lane.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
It could have been an alias.
It could have been an alias.
Now it's not.
It's done now. Well,
Yeah.
in any case, yeah.
Marco Miller.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to get a new name.
And his social security number.
Oh wow.
It's one. I was the first Negro.
Oh, let me play something. But
And
yeah.
it's like the accent to the left. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, there we go. It was on the joke. But yeah, so women are kind of like buying into that. So maybe they're also playing a role in their own dehumanization.
Yeah,
To get what they want, yeah.
I would actually say that the sisters that do put themselves on display as inanimate objects, they're feeding it.
Yeah, they're feeding the monster.
Yeah, you feed the monster. If you don't want to be seen or viewed like that, don't project it.
So I guess the flip side of it is that the study itself was kind of putting a contrast on it. So it's saying that black women are more sexually objectified in comparison to white women. So now I guess the question is, okay, if we are viewing black women as sexual objects,
right,
and as the object really of sexual desire, what is that actually saying about the black beauty aesthetic? It seems to me that it's actually winning.
Again, it goes back to how the black woman is really viewed. All the negative stuff comes with a fixed oh man, how would you want to call it? Because they have to, it's almost like, damn, I can't find the words for it. It's like,
it's their own prejudice, their own presupposition, their assumptions, their own biases, preconceived notions. I've pretty much said all the words. I don't know what else you're thinking about.
you're going in the wrong direction with it.
Okay. Wow. Huh.
Because no, it's the way that they really view the black woman.
You think it's negative or positive?
It's positive.
Positive.
It's projected as negative because they don't want it to be seen like, man, you know, I'm really digging that in a positive way.
It's a psychosis, though.
It's a psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's really, you admire it.
Yeah.
But it's this deep-rooted hatred because it's in such contrast to you.
Yeah.
That you just want to kill it.
Because again, it goes back to, like I just said, back in ancient times, like they literally named a whole constellation after a black princess,
right,
and the mother, and another one after the father. This was a black king, black queen, and a princess.
So, in that case, right? So we're talking about how the black woman is sexually objectified, in contrast to the white woman, right? But my question is, if that study is saying that black women are sexual objects more than white women, then how is it that we have all of these Tyrones chasing Becky? I just want to know.
But also, the thing too in the article, what we're not touching is they did the study on white men.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a very good point. It's a very good point. So, does that seem to indicate that, you know, the tides are changing as it relates to that?
Yeah.
Or had they ever changed? I mean, they've really had access.
It's never changed because they've always had access. It's just like, you know, the black slave owner who had the white wife and he was stinking out back. Mm-hmm. Having the mulattoes.
Right.
You know, it's like, I hate that nigger, but I want to go fuck it.
It's
Psychosis.
yeah.
Psychosis.
Cognitive dissonance.
There it is. That was the words you were looking for.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it is, and it's, you know, it's truly scary because, I mean, at the end of the day, those are the people who are going to end up growing up making policy and changing the world, and they're still objectifying our women to this degree. It's, you know.
Yeah. And I was trying to see how they describe the go no go testing. So apparently it's in general, go no go testing refers to a pass fail or check principle using two boundary conditions or a binary classification, which doesn't make me feel any better about knowing what it is. But the test is passed only when the go condition is met and also the no condition fails.
So I think what that is in layman's terms is basically, would you bang or would you not?
Right. Maybe
Because it's about sexual.
like a
But, you know, another thing, too, that the article didn't touch, which would have been a good help, is if they would have mentioned what animal are they putting that black woman in contrast to.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of animals.
Yeah.
Right. But the fact that they're putting it in contrast to animalistic behavior, more so than Jezebel, points to the whole black people are savages and the black woman is, untamed. All that.
But that's an opinion that you almost can't have because they didn't say what type of animal.
And it was also Australian.
Because it depends on the animal that would give you some type of trajectory. Like,
well, the study was done in the United States. It said all participants were in the
But
United
it's an
States.
Australian scientist.
so I mean, does he look at her and view a lioness, or does he look at her and view a baboon,
Right.
or a hippo, or a peacock?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So is the black woman compared to a monkey or compared to a sheep? Because if you were testing white men, the sheep is just as sexually.
You said it.
Pretty damn sexy too. That soft hair.
That pig looks like he can get this dick too.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking nasty.
Yeah. I mean, I just was kind of taken aback that they immediately went to this whole Jezebel stereotype. I mean, there's so many other kinds of stereotypes that I would actually think that a white man would particularly have as it relates to a black woman, based off of what he's exposed to on a daily basis. Because let's face it, like, white folks, unless they have to be around us or unless they grow up in those environments, they essentially can live a life womb to tomb, separated and isolated from black people. Right?
Only coming across the one at the airport.
I mean, essentially.
Or the hotel is a bellhop.
And so, or they had an Uber driver.
Right.
And they said, that Uber driver was my best friend. That's my black friend. Anyhow.
Yeah,
Or on Black Friday getting robbed in a parking lot.
Or Kodak Black moved into their neighborhood. He got some money. But go ahead, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, why that stereotype? Because I would just imagine that, looking at the programming and everything like that they would have actually the opposite view of black women from a standpoint of that they would be turned off because of all of the stereotypes of, our women are loud, our women are boisterous, our women are ratchet, all of these things, right, that are clearly being projected in media.
Yeah.
You would expect that white folks would be turned off to that, but surprisingly, looks like a white man can't wait to sink his teeth in.
White man can jump on your black women.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, these studies like these, I try to look at them like where they were taken, how many people were in it, because they're saying by judging a 251 or 300 whatever white men that they can judge the rest of them. Like, I mean, that is a swath of the why can't I find my word?
Population.
Population for 200.
Demographic.
Bunch of motherfuckers. that is a representation of it, but I don't know if you can judge the rest of them all just by getting this small swath of the population.
Yeah, and that would be interesting to me as well. As where are these people from? Mm-hmm. Are they in urban environments? I mean, it said it was college students, but colleges aren't all the same as well, as you know. I mean, I went to a college that had 40,000 people, but it was only 3% black.
Right.
And it was in the heart of Indiana. So at the end of the day, what college was it taken at? Was it taken at a place that has a diverse student body to where you would have individuals from multiple different, social, economic demographics that you could actually get a better representation of people.
Is it a Quaker college?
Right. They could have taken this at BYU. Mennonite college.
Was it a religious?
Alaska,
yeah, a religious college where they only like boy pussy. What do we know?
Damn.
Future pastors of America.
Oh my goodness. Yo, we ain't gonna go there. Well, we are talking about Jezebel too. So
I meant priests, not pastors.
Oh.
Pastors like other men's wives.
And for those of you who don't know what boy pussy is, you can go crawl back up under a rock.
Wow. Well, you know about that.
The Rock?
Hey, there we go. There you go. Good way to clean that up, sir.
He said, you know about that? Wait a minute.
We're not gonna go there. Nobody can turn this mic off.
Turn your lights out. Okay, now I ran across an article about men discussing other men's behavior with women, things like that. You know, shit that really goes wrong when you discuss it. So I'm gonna play what this gentleman said, and I use the word gentleman very loosely.
This feminine said.
Yeah. And here's the article.
And I'm talking to the men, and I'm not gonna beg. I'm just gonna talk to the men and just say it like it is, because we need straight talk. Men need to grow up. Firstly, and men need to stop being cowards. Secondly, you see a woman walking down the street minding her business. You approach her. You say everything that you know she would like to hear. You get her defenses down. Once her defenses are lowered, you then go in there, take what you want, and then you leave. After doing so, you leave and repeat the cycle elsewhere. You do it again, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. You've scarred a whole bunch of women. The men who follow you now have to do the work to help heal these women. And half the time, these women end up destroying these men because they don't know how.
Well, it's enough of that bullshit anyway. From what he's saying,
He's a sucker for one.
yeah, he's a sucker for love, and he's blaming us for the destroying of women's minds.
Oh boy, it's tough topic there. Who wants to?
Well, see, I say that he's bailing out women who know damn well what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? We're it's like we're infiltrating their huts. And we're taking them against their will, or convincing them that yes, you do want this dick, and then taking it away from them like, no, you can't have any more. Utterly ridiculous to me.
You took away the candy cane, and they want more candy.
I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of men out there. What he's describing is selling a dream. Now, men are very adept at knowing what selling a dream is, because it happens to us all through being a teenager.
True.
We get sold dreams so often, and the hoops we have to jump through just to have sex with one girl. One that we've been pursuing all through middle and high school. You know what I'm saying? Making us suffer, and then she takes our heart and crumbs it like a piece of paper. So then, ever since then, you go on a conquering mission, which is neither right or wrong. But you're doing it because you've been hurt before too. So so to me it goes back to you did it first.
This is the revenge tour.
She hit me first is what I'm saying. But it goes farther than that. What do you think?
J Source.
I'm on my way. No, I'm gonna say, I mean, the brother, he got a couple of valid points, but again, he's doing this whole bailout thing by only pointing the finger in one direction.
I can agree. I think for me personally, here's the sucker move. Right. For me personally, if I can accept responsibility for it, it's my job to fix it. Mm-hmm. Right. Have I apologized to girls in my past? Yes, I have. For selling dreams. Okay? Because at the end of the day, I wasn't raised to be a womanizer. I turned out to be one.
I was.
Right? Yeah, I mean, look, it happens. I mean, once you learn how to play the game, you do it well, and it's like, all right, cool.
I've received my punishment 3 times. 3 daughters.
Well, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens as it relates to that. But, you know, again, if I can accept accountability for it, it's my job to fix it. And so, if I can stop, you know, being a womanizer, settle down, have a family, and be the man that I want my daughter to marry, or be the man that my son can emulate, that can be marriage material, then that solves it. Because all these women are gonna have scars, and it doesn't even have to be because a man did something to her or anything like that. It's just the nature of women. They hold on to things happen in their lives that yield scars.
Well,
period.
The honesty of our reality as a people, we're all broken. Every single last one of us. We were raised by broken parents who were raised by broken parents who were raised by broken parents who were raised by broken parents. Mm-hmm. So we're all broken. You know, so one has to approach the situation with the maturity and the mindset that, you know, it's gonna be some fixing taking place in this, because I ain't all the way on the level. As much as she might not be all, you know, bailing the women out, so the women have no accountability.
Yeah, that's
with the shit that they do, because women play the dozens too.
Well, do they?
Agreed. And
men play the dozens.
There should be no bailout on either side, but if both sides can accept accountability for their part, because the thing is this, right? An honest dude, and we've seen it. An honest dude can get married to a chick who ain't shit. An honest chick can get married to a dude that ain't shit. But it's their burden to accept accountability and responsibility for the things that fall within their sphere of influence to fix, right? And you can only, you can only hope and pray that the other person gets it and they come around. But if they're taking responsibility for their baggage and making sure that their baggage isn't adding fuel to the fire, that's all you can really do.
Yeah, because I think a lot of us were raised as far as when you're 6 and 7 years old, and you have an auntie that comes over and she says, "Oh, look at him, he's so cute. He's gonna have so many girlfriends when he grows up." I think most people were raised like that. Mm-hmm. When they're dealing with a little boy, they talk about how many girlfriends he's gonna have when he grows up. They never say that to little girls.
Yeah.
They don't say anything like that to little girls. We're pushed toward that.
Yeah.
Even when we have friends as teenagers, it's like, man, we're gonna go to the mall, we're gonna get hella numbers. Nobody tells their friend, we're gonna go to the mall, we're gonna get one girl's number and be with her forever. Nobody says that shit. So we look at it as if you crack some eggs in the process, the thing is, this is the circle of life. It's almost like Frogger. You jump your ass in the street and see how many cars you can afford. So if she gets hurt, and you know, I prepare my own daughter for it. I say, look, I hate for you to have to go through it, but you're gonna get your heart broken and feel like dying. I just know it. I can't stop you from feeling that, but I can tell you that it's coming. Mm-hmm. So when you recognize it, you be like, damn, my dad was right.
Well, funny thing about that is we just had this experience over the I will not name names, but I had to have a conversation, and you know, little punk dude basically was talking to someone else, right? And I basically told and said that at this stage in your development, you are all going through hormonal changes, you are all going through the courting process. And I said, it's 7 billion people on this earth. You go through this process because this is a process that you go through to create more people, right? And along the way, you deal with knuckleheads. Sometimes you deal with people who are good. And what you have to do with each of these experiences is compartmentalize it, what was good, what was bad, and learn from it. Because you don't want to end up taking those scars into the next relationship, and then all of a sudden you coming out of this dude out of left field because of some baggage you're taking from a previous relationship, right? So I think a lot of this can be solved if women did learn how to compartmentalize things, and men also would have to understand that women don't necessarily do that. Because if we understand that, look, when you give her the penis, she just goes crazy. Okay, the penis is a powerful tool,
and we know this now.
And we know this now.
Sometimes we use it to our advantage.
Yes.
I've never done that.
St. J Source.
Why I never?
Yes, St. J Source over here. But yeah, I mean, we know that they are emotional creatures, and we're much more logical from the standpoint of we operate within certain boundaries of reason. And somehow it's got to work. Otherwise, we're going to have a recipe for disaster. I mean, we're reaping the seeds that we've sown for so many years.
Yeah. What do you think about when I've noticed that a lot of times women will say men don't know how to cheat, but women cheat a lot better than men. To you, isn't that like a comparison between I'm a better serial killer than you? That's what it sounds like me when I hear that. I'm really good at murdering people, but you're terrible at it.
Yeah. I mean, I think both of them are bullshit. Because the person, I mean, look, if you're getting caught cheating, like, come on.
Who aspires to be better at something bad?
I'm going to be the best cheater in the world. I'm going to be a super cheater.
Right. It's like, who's aspiring? I'm going to be the best one you've ever heard of.
I'm a pro at this.
Yeah, you don't want to be good at shouldn't do it.
Yeah, and someone bragging about it. God, you must be the scum of the earth.
Because we as men, we've let them get away with it for decades. They say men are simple, and we say it too. Oh, just feed me, fuck me, and leave me alone. We say that, but we're actually very complex.
Extremely complex. We're simply complex.
Right, but we let them get that off. Oh yeah. Men are visual, women are mental. Yeah, they're mental. But we have a lot of synapses firing in our brain too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. J Source, what's your thought on that? Men being worse cheaters than women.
I don't buy it. It's whatever. Yeah, with that one, it's whatever. It shouldn't that shouldn't even be nothing to brag about.
Right. They can say, like, if they were going to compare something, I'd rather they compare something good. like even saying women are better communicators than men. That's true in a lot of senses, but not. It depends on the man too. Mm-hmm. I may want to communicate something, but I know it's going to hurt her feelings, so I'm not going to communicate this.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I mean,
we're very much more measured in our communication.
Yeah. Like, if your goal is to be a cheater, why go into a relationship? It's asinine. When you can stay single and just fuck whoever you want to fuck.
All day. Yeah.
Some people like the appearance of a relationship.
They want the title.
Yeah.
That's why they got open relationships and polygamy right now.
Yeah, that's the next frontier, but that's another story for a different podcast.
That's right. All right, so we've had a great discussion here. We have any last thoughts?
Free Bill.
Free Bill.
Ain't nobody else going to jail.
My nigga Cosby in the box.
we should all take cases of Jello pudding and throw them in the harbor. Like the Tea Party.
The pudding party.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, this has been Grown Men Chopping It Up. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Free Bill.
So that concludes our show tonight. We know there's a lot of podcasts you could be listening to
and should be listening to.
So we thank you for riding with us. I'm J.R. Ryder.
And I'm Kerry with a K. Make sure you look us up on Facebook or Instagram or get at us on grownmenchoppingitup@gmail.com. That's spelled out GROWNMENCHOPPINGITUP. And remember, everybody kneeling ain't praying.
Peace.